The American Pit Bull Terrier has been blessed every other generation. Every 15 to 30 years there is always a great dog that truly makes a huge positive impact on the breed. In the 70s was Daibo, then Carver Dogs, Honey Bunch, Jeep, later Yellow and Mayday etc. etc. This last dog was truly a blessing to the breed, born in the United States of America in the hands of Ernest Hollingsworth. His best creation went to the hands of a seasoned respected dogman in the USA by the name of VA aka Southern Kennels. This dog went to change the breed of the best American Pit Bull Terriers forever. It was a sensation to see him making GRCH and champions from coast to coast in the United States and later in the rest of the world. Many make an argument of this dog as the king of all dogs. His best dogs would be for many generations to come, when you can find the best of it. He was a Dog of the Year, his father GRCH Yellow. This boom was huge and everyone wanted a Mayday dog. It was as all the big breeders stoked to exist while Mayday was at his best. However, with time and due to poor breeding practices, most of his blood got overbreed, oversold and ruined. The question as Southern Kennels retired, what was next after Mayday? In a quest to find out from the horse's mouth. Here's what Southern Kennels in his own words. Mayday, the next chapter, where are the best Mayday dogs today? By Southern Kennels. At the beginning of the 90s, based on great effort, hard work, and dedication, the story of Mayday's legendary rise began to be written. A story Southern Kennels lived and enjoyed passionately. However, as with any success story, haters are haters who did not want to accept it. Others, faced with Mayday's obvious qualities, stuck around us as supposed friends, but, in reality, ended up being sweet talkers and exploiters. They were jealous and envious of the success of Mayday. Over time, they were unmasked and their real intentions revealed. On the road of life, you tend to cross paths with all kinds of people. Regretfully, we met and befriended fake people. That being said, I can understand the jealousy of the haters. You have to consider mankind's ambitious nature and the eagerness to achieve personal success. Many tried to imitate or follow the line of work we did to campaign Mayday and his sisters. This work continued for 10 years. From 1995 to 2005, Mayday, his sons, and then his grandsons dominated the market and were winning at the national level. Then, the goal changed from campaigning Mayday's offspring to preserving this bloodline for years to come. This breeding program managed to generate a good number of winners, champions and grand champions, all direct offspring of Mayday. It is easy to see how difficult and time-consuming this was to whoever took on this responsibility. Our intent was always to leave a mark on the dog game while using a single stud dog, then his children, who in turn dominated the market in their own time. It is appropriate to mention the valuable work done by the owners of Mayday's offspring who dedicated themselves to carry out in a responsible, honest, and dedicated way, the campaigns of these dogs. I thank them very much because without their very important contribution, it would not have been possible to write the story of Mayday, his sons and daughters. And after that, what? Here came the task of finding the proverbial needle in a haystack. The task of finding someone that could continue the work of Southern Kennels and owners of Mayday's offspring. The task of finding someone that could make intelligent combinations and crosses. It was necessary to find someone that could continue generating dogs that maintained and improved the qualities of Mayday and his best offspring. Such a task was not easily met. We knew by experience that it would demand total devotion. They would have to do it as we did, abandon everything, and dedicate to doing a job that would be harder without the golden dick, Mayday. Southern Kennels worked very hard to accomplish what they did with the benefit of the crown jewel, Mayday. Without Mayday, this new leader would have to reinvent the formula and start a selection process looking for the cream of the crop, the golden vein. For the legacy to continue, personal and economic sacrifices would have to be made by a person who has Mayday in his veins, a true admirer of this great specimen. It had to be someone who appreciated all the effort made until then and most important of all, willingness to pay whatever price to recreate what Mayday left and further his legacy. This was a unique and very big responsibility. Who could this person be? He had to have very particular qualities. 1. Must be a person that for the next 10 to 20 years, totally dedicates themselves to raise, breed, cross and personally compete against the world, his bred version of the modern Mayday dogs. However, he did not only need to compete, he had to win, he had to be the best, had to have the mental capacity, the energy, and stamina to continue to create new winners, world champions and GR champions. He had to accomplish all this to stamp their mark in the dogs. Although his work may have been based on Mayday, his siblings, and sons, his own legacy would depend on him improving the dog's quality, speed, and intensity. This effort was to surely create a new list of champions and grand champions. I thought about it and felt it was almost humanly impossible to do. 2. That person must be extremely demanding of his dogs and himself to prevent settling for just good dogs. This person should be aiming to improve the great work done to maintain the qualities and improve on them over time. In order to achieve this, he should develop a clinical eye and become an expert breeder to maintain correct line breeding and avoid falling into the pitfall of inbreeding the same specimen, which results in loss of qualities. In other words, the work would be more difficult for him because it required a significant economic investment and a long-term vision for his studs and bitches that come from a very exquisite and expensive selection. He would have to be able to know when to breed to a dog, when breed out, and how to breed back in, and with which dogs to breed and which not, when yes when not. It is an infinite world of options. A world where those who not know how to do it right, will get lost on the way and left with garbage dogs. In the last 100 years, there have been many who produced garbage dogs because they lack the know-how of how to do it right. Maybe the most important thing to mention is that this path would not be an easy one. On the contrary, this person would encounter many failures, realize mistakes in judgment after years of work. This person would need the mental capacity and clear mind to change route despite losing thousands of dollars of investment. This person had to be the type who was willing to rectify and cull even if it meant starting from zero. All to begin again until he achieved their goal in the dogs. 3. Impossible mission. For a time, that is how I thought of the task and of finding that someone. I felt it was impossible because in addition of the aforementioned qualities and requirements of this man, he should be a very close personal friend, which is rare nowadays, of Mayday and his mentor. He must be an admirator of Mayday and the work carried out on his behalf. He must be without the natural selfishness of human beings, a person who carries in his heart the wish, the sincere desire to honestly continue the legacy. That is to say, he must be a noble person and of ethical and moral principles. This person should be all of it and still be a warrior. What a difficult mix of qualities. Let's imagine this person, a very good person to the public and at the same time implacable, harsh, and 100% confrontational toward his enemies. This person would have to walk the same path as Mayday's mentor. This path shared by both will attract hate from many and admiration from others. At the end of that path, the dogs produced will speak for themselves. Then, after many years of that type of hard work, he would earn the right to be considered the representative of the modern Mayday dogs. Today, after keeping track of the records, global competition, not just winners, champions or grand champions but also the quality of the opposition, competition in different countries and continents, different dogs of the year, etc., I recognize the cream that this man created in his own laboratory. This cream is the foundation, a solid genetic base which will further develop his bestial breeding program. A breeding program that is already producing winners. Today I see work and a production potential on the highest level. These dogs, I am proud to consider the modern Mayday dogs. It gives me pleasure to see a friend has achieved his dreams and through him, I can see the image of Mayday after almost 30 years from the day that Grand Champion Mayday was born. Work worth recognizing and admire. This person is not a normal dogman. It is a person with a very special personality. With an indomitable character and iron will. A warrior. a person able to work 18 hours a day. With great pleasure I say that I have observed clean work, where I have personally seen in his current dogs, the same capacity of my own Grand Champion Mayday. Dogs that have the same intensity, speed, power, style, and gameness as the dog himself, Grand Champion Mayday. I can say that after 20+ years of hard work and sacrifice, this man has become the new source of the modern Mayday dogs. With great pleasure and pride I can say that the person I am talking about is Chico Lopez. The chosen fused champion awesome buck 4XW1XGL ROM sire to 3SDJ Doi. Parents, Southern Kennels Macho 1XW ROM X the chosen fused Cheyenne ROM 2XW, 1XGL. By Southern Kennels and Mayday. If we study the roots of champion awesome buck, 4XW, pedigree, we can see that it comes from a very select breeding plan of Southern Kennels, House of Grand Champion Mayday ROM-Doi 1996. Let's break it down for the fancier to understand. Champion awesome buck ROM. Sired by Southern Kennels Macho 1XW ROM. He was the result of a well-thought-out breeding plan, where we placed under Grand Champion Mayday, a very well-bred female SCK's Blondie, a daughter of Grand Champion Buck when crossed with Tant's Awesome Baby, aka SCK's Awesome Baby. Her sire was Tant's Grand Champion Yellow, same sire as Grand Champion Mayday. At the same time, Mayday's dam, Hollingsworth's Dolly ROM, was very closely related to Grand Champion Buck. In simple terms, she came from the same basic genetic foundation. The story began when with great economic and logistical effort, SCK's Blondie was mobilized from USA to overseas. Although she was a cold bitch, she came from great breeding and her brothers were winners. This special combination produced one of Mayday's best pound-x-pound offspring. I say that without demeaning all the other extraordinary Mayday children and given his known reproductive history. It is important to highlight that Macho was born in South America, when Mayday had already moved from his original home. Southern Kennels continued their effort to support Mayday, then in its career as a stud dog. Macho was exported into USA as a pup. It is important to emphasize that Southern Kennels always considered this breeding combination very special. This combo, Mayday/Blondie, was predestined to make history given the high quality of the cross and assuming the offspring were well managed by those who came to own them. In particular, if they managed to handle Macho correctly in shows and in a breeding program, they too would have left a mark in the dog game. We have always said that 50% is the dog and the other 50% is the owner. Owners must commit themselves to team up with their dog in each of his steps and always demanding an amount of sacrifice, so that as a team, they can reach the goals of champion or grand champion, and then gain a legacy as producer. Achieving these goals requires a great deal on the part of the handler and owner so that a good dog can reach what it can. Macho was a unique dog that did not get to earn a match title and barely obtained the title of ROM thanks to the few crosses that were made during his short life. I will miss him forever. Today, Southern Kennels thinks Macho should have never been sold. Sadly, that is how the stories of the big ones pan out, just like it did with Southern Kennels Macho, 1XW and ROM. Awesome Buck's mom, the chosen fused Cheyenne ROM 2XW, 1XGL. Many years ago, Chico Lopez, a very special friend, asked me which way to go to build his breeding program. He was a very enthusiastic young man with a desire to excel. I admired his tenacity, perseverance, and strength of character. At that time, Southern Kennels had worked to develop a very special breeding program which was 100% their effort. We were fortunate to have in our yard Hollingsworth's Bull, Hollingsworth's Dolly, mother of Mayday and ROM. Crew's Sassy Lady, sired by Grand Champion Yellow, his sister Champion Sassy. Our breeding plan, which turned out to be a very special breeding plan, was developed with the hope that the dogs produced would reach the hands of people who had the dedication and willingness to sacrifice whatever the dogs demanded of them. This was how we made the combinations. Number 1. Hollingsworth's Bull and Hollingsworth's Dolly. Produced, Aycart and Red Tide Kennels Crash, 2XW1XGL, and my favorite Mr. Jean-Claude. Number 2. Hollingsworth's Bull and Crew's Sassy Lady. Produced my favorite of this litter, Red Tide Kennels Tarna, 2XW, Poor. Breeding number 1 and 2 mentioned above were made by Southern Kennels and were born in the house of Southern Kennels. That is to say, it was work carried out 100% by this team. We ultimately deliver the puppies and prospects to their owners so they could do their 50% part of the work. So when my friend Chico Lopez asked me where to invest money he had earned honestly and saved with great personal sacrifice, I gave him my most honest answer. My answer came from what my eyes had seen and hands had worked. I advised him to select a female pup off Cart and Red Tide Kennels Crash, 2XW1XGL, and Red Tide Kennels Tarna, 2XW, Poor. My words as I remember them were, you have a gifted eye, personally go and choose a puppy that you like most off that litter. Use that as a foundation to build your future. I knew that my 50% was done and directed this friend to the best source that could provide him with the genetic base to start his future. The other 50% was up to him. I always had confidence in this enthusiastic young man who was passionately focused in reaching big things. From this breeding, Chico Lopez chose a female that would end up being called the Chosen Fuse Cheyenne ROM 2XW, 1XGL and became his crown jewel. When it was time for her to bred, Chico had already chosen the best stud for Cheyenne. He used that meticulous eye to observe and personally study Southern Kennels Macho, 1XW ROM, who came from a very special and legendary Southern Kennels cross. After careful consideration, Chico Lopez felt that these two dogs, Macho x Cheyenne, born in the yard of Southern Kennels, would be the foundation of his yard for the next generation. Chico Lopez made this breeding quickly and luckily he did, since soon after, mistakes were made that would have made it impossible for the breeding to occur. This combination produced his next great dog. A dog that would go down in history as the Chosen Fuse Champion Awesome Buck 4XW1XGL ROM. Awesome Buck went on to sire 3 STJ Doi. Chico's road to success included many years of strenuous work and admirable dedication. Using the excellent genetic base of his stud champion Awesome Buck, he has established a bloodline that today represent the Mayday dogs of modern era. The original Southern Kennels wishes Chico Lopez the greatest of success in his continuous mission to make legacies of his best dogs of yesterday, today, and those that will surely come. I also wish that he finds what I found in him. A friend with the tenacity and courage to continue with the Chico Lopez dogs CL has developed. Great dogs such as Cheyenne, Macho, and Awesome Buck were part of Chico Lopez's beginning. Yet, he has continued to make intelligent combinations that not just maintained that quality in the dogs but I dare say, raised the standard in all sense of the word. His ability to freely make breeding combinations with his own dogs placed Chico in a position of producing dogs that improve with each generation. Today, his stable consists of elite dogs such as Champion Bagman and a bitch of highest quality, Grand Champion Saga the Great. That is just to name two in a yard full of great ones. Itemizing all of Chico's achievements would entail writing a book just to do him and all the great dogs he has bred justice. The last I will say is congratulations Chico Lopez on your great work and thank you for continuing, in a brilliant way, the legacy that was handed to you. Affectionately, Southern Kennels and Grand Champion Mayday. Southern Kennels and Grand Champion Mayday. Southern Kennels and Grand